everyone, welcome again to another crochet infusion. Thank you all so much for being here today. So today I'm going to show you all how to do some angel wings for your Christmas tree ornament, and I'm going to be using selection of yarns. I'm going to be using these shimmery yarns for the angel wings, and then I'm also going to be using average DK yarn and just cut some strands of the yarn and comb it out if you want to do some feathery kind of look for your angel wings. When you do the combing of these strands, I've just cut, a selection of the yarns, held it together in my hand, just wrapped it around my fingers, and start combing from the bottom of the yarns and work your way up, and just got to keep combing until it does eventually go smooth. It does take some time to do that, but if you're okay with just sitting there and combing it through, and it will go smooth, and you will have quite a lot of fluff coming off as well while you're doing that. But it's always best to comb from the bottom and work your way up. It's the same as if you've got really long hair and you get knotty hair, you wouldn't brush out the knots from the top of the hair and then down, because obviously it hurts. But obviously it doesn't hurt for yarn, but it's easier to always comb hair from the bottom and work your way up. So that's the best way to do the angel feathers, is just cut some average yarn, any colour of your choice of course. And of course, if you didn't want to do the combing of the yarns, you could just take some toy stuffing and just separate it all out, and that could also be quite effective for your feathers, for your angel wings feathers. So I think that's it, and then you're going to be needing a 3.75mm crochet hook. You're also going to need your scissors and of course a tapestry needle. So we're going to start with the 3.75mm hook first, and I'm going to start by doing a slip knot. So to do your slip knot, I just wrap the yarn around my finger, take that off, and this part of my tail end is just going to fold over the loop, pinch hold of the loop on the bottom of the tail end, and insert your hook through that loop, that center strand, and pull, and just push that onto your hook. And all you're going to do now is pick up your yarn, hold your yarn however you do, and do a chain of 12. So yarn through the loop, pull through, that's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, so I'll meet you back once I get to 12. Okay, so once you've got your chain of 12, we're now going to go into that second chain from the hook, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So all you're going to do here is insert your hook into that second chain, pull your yarn through and pull through the loop that's on your hook. That's one slip stitch. Into the next stitch is going to be a single crochet, so go into the next chain, insert your hook, pull your yarn through, 2 loops on the hook, and pull through those 2 loops. So we've got one slip stitch and then a 1 single crochet. Next we're going to do a 1/2 double crochet in the next 3 chains. So we're just going to yarn over, go into the next chain, pull your yarn through, 3 loops on the hook, pick up your yarn again and go through all 3 loops. So that's 1/2, into the next chain, pull your yarn through, so that's 2/2, and then into that next one, and that's 3/2. So we've got a slip stitch, a single, and 3/2 double crochets. So next we're going to do a 1 double crochet, so yarn over, go into the next chain, pull your yarn through, 3 loops on the hook. We're just going to pull through the first 2, and then we're going to pull through the last 2. So that's 1 double. Then we're going to go in again, yarn over for another double. So that's 2 doubles. So now we've got a slip stitch, a single, 3/2, and 2 doubles. So now we're going to do 3 double crochets in the same chain. So yarn over, go into that next chain and do 3 double crochets all in that same chain. So that's 1, 2, and then the last one for 3. So you should now have 3 doubles all in that one chain. And the next chain we're going to do a 1/2 double crochet, so yarn over, go into the next chain, going to do 1/2. Into the next chain we're going to do a single, and then into that last one we're going to do a slip stitch to pull through that loop. And here where we've got our slip knot, I'm actually going to do another slip stitch into that slip knot. I don't normally like working into knots, but this time is an exception, and that's what I'm doing. So go into that slip knot if you can. Sometimes it's a bit awkward to get your hook in there, so you just got to keep being quite persistent with it. Like I'm having to struggle to get my hook through there. Tightened it a bit too tight. There we go. Nope. Try again. Okay, so just do a slip stitch, and then we're going to do a chain of 3. Leave a loop on that 3rd chain, just like that. Just leave that loop there nice and big so you don't lose the loop. And then you can just cut your yarn, leave a bit of a tail, doesn't have to be too long. Don't pull that through because that's just there so you know where your chain 3 is. So then we're going to do the next wing. So to do the next wing we're going to do another chain of 12. So yarn over your finger, wrap that round and make your slip knot, pull through that center loop and yarn over the hook and pull through the loop. So just do another chain of 12 and I'll meet you back once I've got a chain of 12. Okay, so once you've got your chain of 12, we're going to do exactly the same as what we did on this one, the first one that we did, except for this time we're going to be working backwards. So we're not going to do a chain 3 like we did here, so we're not going to be doing that this time, but we are going to be working the stitches exactly the same as what we did when we went from here and up and finished here. Except for this time we're starting here and working our way back down to here. So we'll fasten off here rather than here. So to do that we're just going to go backwards basically. So going into the next chain and we're going to start with a slip stitch just like we ended with a slip stitch. So we start with a slip stitch as well, and then into the next space, next chain, we're going to do a single crochet. So insert your hook, pull your yarn through, pull through 2 loops. So we've got a slip and then a single. Next stitch is going to be a half double, so yarn over your hook, insert into the next chain and pull through. Pick up your yarn, pull through all 3 loops. So you should have a slip stitch, a single and a half. And then the next chain is 3 double crochets in that same chain. So yarn over and do 1 double, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, do the second double, and then yarn over again for your 3rd. So you've now got a slip stitch, single, half, 3 doubles. Then we're going to do a double in the next chain, and then we're going to do another double into the next chain again. So that's 2 doubles in each chain, so you've got 3 and then 2, and then we're going to do 3 halves in the next 3 chains. So yarn over, go into the next chain, pull through all through 3 loops. Let's try that again. 1 half into the next chain for another half, that's 2, into the next chain for the last half for 3. So then into this next 2 spaces here that we've got here, we're going to do a single, and then we're going to do a slip stitch, in that last stitch. And once again, I'm even going to do a slip stitch in that slip knot. It is a bit awkward to get your hook in there, so I do apologise, but I just think it gives it a nice tighter finish at the end. So if you can't get your hook in there, just find your tapestry needle and just try and see if you can do it that way. So you don't want to pull too much that the whole thing falls apart. For some reason I'm having a real struggle to get my hook through my slip knot, but yeah, just do a slip stitch in that once you get through that slip knot. So I've just managed to finally get in that last in that last slip knot for that very last slip stitch. So once you've done that, just do a chain 1. We're not going to do a chain 3 this time, we're just going to cut and then we're going to fasten off. So just cut a bit of length, pull that through, and that will then fasten that off, and then I'll be back to show you what you need to do now. So now you're just going to pick up your second wing, or well, your first wing and your next wing. Where we've done this chain 3 here, we're just going to insert our hook into there, and your slip knot end is down at the bottom and you've got one at the top here. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect these two together at the top here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into this stitch here and we're going to join it together with a slip stitch. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to insert my hook and insert through at the very top of those two loops, and then I'm going to pick up the yarn, I'm going to pull through that first loop, and then I'm going to pull through the second loop that's on the chain. So just pull that through and just secure that by pulling on that a little, and then you're just going to chain 1, and then you want to cut and sew these ends in. So just pull that off, and actually I'm thinking chain 2 rather than chain 3, because I think that might be a bit too many, so I'm just going to undo this and I'm actually going to do a chain 2 rather than a chain 3. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull this out, this tail end, take that out. You could probably even get away with doing, I think I chained too many, so I've just literally got a small chain there because I don't want it too large in between the two wings. Just going to pick up that tail end and pull that through and pull through to make a slip stitch. That's better, that's on a bit better, and then I'm just going to pull that over my hook and pull that through, and then we can do a little bit of sewing in these ends so they're out of our way. When you come to sew in this end here, in fact I might even do it on camera to show you, you don't want to have a big chunky end, you want it to be as, you know, as pointy as you possibly can at the bottom here. So this is where things can get a little awkward when you're trying to make things to go right. So if you were to go that way with your yarn, you will kind of get that effect. If you go this way with your yarn, you get the same kind of effect, but it's a lot fatter. So I'm going to go the wrong way. I'm not going to follow that slip knot round because I think it's going to make it too chunky on the end. So I'm going to go the opposite way. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the stitch from the bottom and pull that through and up and hope for the best. kind of. So just pull that quite tight and just keep pinching, and then hopefully that will go quite tight at the bottom. And then I'm just going to fasten this off, so I'm just going to go through the next stitch, and I'm actually just going to cut right here, quite close. So that's that tail end sewn in, and because it's such a small little tree ornament, I suppose it's quite fiddly, and you can just pinch the ends of these now. Hopefully they'll go to the shape that you want your angel wings to be. So now I'm just going to finish sewing these little knick-knack bits in, and then I'll be back. Okay, so once all your little tail ends are sewn in, your angel wings should look something like this. You can just bend these into place however you want them, pinch the ends a little just to make them a little bit more you know, so they're a little bit more pointier at the front, and just, you know, you can shape this however you wish. So I'm just going to go now and start combing all the yarns. So time to comb your yarns. I've just used, like I say, quite a long length, but you know, you could, because it does like go down to nothing, you could just, I wouldn't cut it once it's been combed through, because the idea of it is to have it so it's like natural fall. So if you wanted to, you could just cut this in half, because that is so long, but I didn't want to cut mine too short, because I noticed when you're combing with the yarns it shortens right down anyway, because this stuff does kind of like snap and fray and everything as you're combing. So anyway, I'll just leave you to it, and I'll be back once I've got all this combed up. Okay, so this is how mine looks now I've finished combing it all, and I haven't used straighteners on it, I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to comb. So I've actually used two different colours here. I've got a bit of peach there as well as white, and I thought that looked quite nice to add a bit of colour in there. So hopefully just place that down for a moment before I get ready to attach that on. So the next thing to do now is to do a bow. So I'm just going to cut some length of this gold yarn, probably way more than what I need, and all I'm going to do, I'm actually going to place my angel wings facing down, and then I'm going to attach my feathers, you know, just however you want your feathers. I'm just going to give it another little last comb with my and then I'm just going to attach. So just place those where you want them, make sure they're at the right place you want them, and I'm just going to tie this together basically. I'm actually going to cut this yarn, I don't need that kind of amount right now, so I'm just going to swizzle that round and just pull. Before you pull it tight, oh, I don't think you can see what I'm doing, can you? Sorry. Before you pull it tight, just make sure that your feathers are in the right position where you want them to be. So I'm just going to pull and pull and pull and pull that tight. And this piece here, this long piece, this is going to be what's going to hang on the tree, so that's going to be made into a loop, which I will do that as well. But first I just want to make a bow for the front of here, so I'm just going to get some more yarn. Just going to throw those two pieces out the way. Get that out the fur, out of the feathers. And now I'm just going to make a little bow. So I'm just going to use this cut off yarn here. And all I'm going to do to make my bow, I'm not actually crocheting the bow because I want it to be nice and delicately looking. So I'm going to have some tail. So do one loop, you know, like how you do a bow. Pull through the center loop. And just keep pulling on each side. Tighten that down. And I just hold my finger in the middle while I just pull each side to the size that I want for my angel wings. Keep pulling, each side will pull for each loop, which I'm sure you already know this. Pull that one down a little bit more. Not sure if that's a bit too big, that bow. Maybe have it a little bit smaller. Just a tiny little smaller. And just keep checking it as you go in with your bow. So I'm quite happy with that size. Perhaps maybe do it slightly smaller again. I don't want it too small and I don't want it too big. And I think that's pretty about the right size that I want that to be at. And now I want to fasten this on to here. So all I'm going to do that is I'm going to place the bow where I want it. I want it sort of sitting in between the wings. Just going to take one piece of that yarn, wrap that round, face down. I don't think you can see again. Sorry, it's quite hard to. So face it down. So my bow is on the center there, and I've just wrapped a piece of yarn around the center of the bow, facing the angel wings down. And now I'm just going to do another little tie at the back. Just make sure you've not got your angel wings. Sorry, not my angel wings. My bow pieces are there. So I'm just going to do another knot at the back. So it's all a bit fiddly. And then you can just try and sort that out at the front. And that is it. So I'm just going to fasten this off now. I'm going to cut these two tails here and then I'll be back. Okay, so once you're happy with the size of your bow, you're just going to take your scissors and cut some of the bottom of the bow. So depending on how long you want your bow, just cut it at different lengths and then have a look and see how long you want those ends to be before you actually cut it to the size. So you can just fiddle about with it a little bit, because it's a little bit fiddly and trying to get everything right. So once you are happy and with your bow, I mean, I might probably sort mine out a little bit more after as well. So all you need to do now is just make this to fit around your Christmas tree branch. So you can do this two ways. You could just make a loop and sew it through to the back of here, which I think is what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is get my tapestry needle, and I'm just going to go, just so you can see, just going to go through this loop chain here. Just gently pull that through. And just pull that up to the size that you want it to hang for your tree. So up there is probably good. And then all you're just going to do is just fasten this off at the base here now. So I'm not going to put my tapestry needle through, I'm just going to find the other piece of that. Go through one loop and go through that loop again. And then just pull. And that's quite secure then. And because we can't really sew these ends in really, because there's nowhere really to sew it, just have to cut them and just leave little tiny tails just so it doesn't fray and then come undone, because it's at the back anyway. And all I've got to do now is re-sort out my bow, but you don't want to be able to see it at the front either, so just kind of tuck that, hide it out the way a little bit, and there is your Christmas tree ornament completed. So I'm probably going to cut that bows a bit shorter again because they're a bit too long. I want them to be with a little bit of length in the centre with the bow, and that is it. So then you just keep trying to sort these feathers out as well, so just separate them, and I think you kind of get the idea. So that is it for today. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed making this little angel wing ornament. I think it's really sweet. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed to my YouTube. Thank you to everyone for being here. I am on Facebook as well at Crochet Infusion, so anything that you do make on here, you can always share your work on my page there. And until next time, thank you everyone. Bye.